Thank you for tuning in to watch our Invest Boston 2023 launch conference. You're about to watch panel number 3, Critical Mass, a deep dive into Boston's higher education sector. Enjoy.
Thanks to the Capital Analytics and UMass for hosting such a great event today. It's really some great and eye-opening topics that we're looking at today, and I'm happy that they're being discussed. My name is Josh Lepan. I'm a partner at S&G LLP. We're business consultants and certified public accountants. I'm honored to set the stage for the third panel discussion, Critical Mass, how the state's higher ed system is propelling the future workforce and entrepreneurial community and what that means for growth. First, a little background and history of S&G LLP, as well as the milestones for the firm in terms of growth and services. S&G LLP, formerly known as Shepherd & Goldstein, was founded in 1980 by two partners in one office, offering tax and accounting services. Over the last 43 years, we've certainly changed, not only people, starting at 2, and today over 45 and growing, but also the services that we render. Compliance services such as accounting and auditing, along with tax, make up roughly 60% of our business, while the remainder is business consulting and advisory services such as M&A, business exit, and transition planning, as well as financial services. I'm excited to hear from today's speakers as they are the direct pipeline developing our future workforce. Selfishly, I would love for them to propel some of these future leaders into the accounting and more specifically, the CPA profession. I attended a Mass Society Partner Conference last week and certainly heard about the shortage the next generation based upon the retirement-minded baby boomers, which we've talked about earlier today. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 75 million baby boomers in the U.S. make up 23% of our population. It's estimated 10,000 will reach retirement age each day, which is pretty crazy to think about. But now after hearing this last panel discussion, I think that is the reason why we're starting to see folks hang around a little bit later than 65. Especially in our profession, it's not uncommon to see 75 and 80-year-old folks roaming the halls in CPA firms. Not that I recommend that to anybody. As a board member of the Mass Society, I could certainly tell you that's on the top of the to-do list, both at the state and national level. We look forward to getting into high schools to educate students on what we do and to reverse the stereotypes that all accountants are dull and boring. I can't understand where that stereotype came from. I mean, Joe was great, came up, 12 hours in advance notice, was able to have this discussion, did a great job. Workforce is certainly a struggle that many businesses will face in the next few years based solely on numbers of retirees. We as a profession are having to deal with technology and to fill some of those gaps. Specifically AI, we hear about every day, and the impact that will have on our profession. And I really look at it as opportunity. Rather than replacing human jobs, it's there really to fill the gaps. So I'm excited kind of to learn a little bit more about that as we look at that. And now it's time to hear from our panelists.
Thank you. Get closer in here. All right, thank you for the introduction. Thank you everyone for being here today. Susan Fournier at Questrom School of Business. And I'm really excited to be joined by Mahesh today and Robert. Just a word of introduction and we'll jump right in. But Boston is a really remarkable town and city and region surrounding Boston. The most condensed and concentrated education market on the planet. It is home to 64 universities, colleges, schools of higher ed, which is just remarkable. That's within a 30-mile radius that qualifies that statistic. So and home to a number of high-ranking world-class institutions. So this is just a remarkable opportunity we have as an ecosystem. Education, it was also mentioned in our introduction by Joshua, is the place after high school where we help to train the future workforce and anticipate how that potential should evolve the local environment. The schools that we all have and participate in also attract people to the region, which helps with all of the real estate folks that are gathered here today as well. I'm really happy to welcome to join us today Mahesh Das, the president of the Boston Architectural College, and also Robert Johnson, thank you very much, president of Western New England University, but also the chair of the Association of Independent Colleges and Universities. This is an organization with collaborations among 59 of the institutions that we're talking about, so you can represent quite a lot of point of view. So I'm going to jump in with a question and just build on, I guess, the uniqueness that you both have as educators, as part of that educational ecosystem, and the lens that you can bring to bear from that perspective. We have disruption in today's world, in today's marketplace, whether that be from talent shortages, increased costs of living, housing crises, energy crises, the changing world of work, shifts in the capital markets, shifts in how government gets involved and where it gets involved, and the growing influence of technology on business processes. So using your perspectives and experiences, could you please start us off, and maybe we could start with Robert, with ways in which you see Boston and New England as ready to capitalize on these challenges, these disruptions, and where you potentially see us lacking or less prepared?
Thank you so much. So the bad news is we have all of these challenges. The good news is because we are in the epicenter of higher education on the planet, I think we're uniquely qualified. So if you think about just the AQ Mass institutions, the 59 private colleges and universities in the Commonwealth, $71.1 billion economic impact to the region. Over 300,000 students attend those 59 colleges and universities from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Over the vast majority of students who are of color or Pell eligible attend those 59 institutions. So we are uniquely qualified to prepare the workforce of the future. So the opportunities really lie in that we're educating a generation of young people for jobs that don't exist, to utilize technologies that haven't been created, to solve problems yet to be identified. And I think that we as an ecosystem, as a higher education ecosystem, must think about how do we teach our young people to learn, unlearn, and relearn as a steady state, or what I call agile mind education. And if we do that, then we're giving them the essential human skills that cannot be replicated by a robot, an algorithm, or AI. My son and daughter are 28 years old, recent college graduates just a few years ago, and this generation of graduates will have upwards of 17 jobs in 5 different industries, and 3 of those industries don't even exist. 65% of the jobs that will be available for kids in grade school don't even have a title or an industry yet. So our challenge and our opportunity is to reinvent ourselves. And I think that as institutions of higher learning, we must think of workforce as a lifelong educational process. You heard up here earlier the gentleman talking about longevity in education. Well, we can't just think of a degree as a destination. You get your degree and that's it. We must be in this steady state of having the skill set and the mindset to be in the value creation business. And as institutions of higher learning, we're neglecting ourselves as an ecosystem, neglecting our economy as an ecosystem if we're not educating young people to be in the mindset of value creation, creating the next generation of jobs. My job is for all of our graduates to get that first job, teach them how to get that first job, and then to create every job thereafter within all of your companies, constantly reinventing themselves and the way that they get work done, using algorithms, AI, and other types of technologies.
Okay, so an evolving workforce, to meet an evolving and disruptive environment, trying to anticipate and turn that into lifelong learning. Mahesh, how are you thinking about this?
Well, Susan, thank you for having me on this panel. And I represent what I call a 134-year-old startup. So Boston Architectural College has been a staple. And if you look out of the window, everything you see, there is something or the other has been touched by the BAC throughout these 134 years. And the education model that we have adapted and evolved is work integrated. So we are fully immersed in the city. We partner with more than 115 organizations where our students are employed throughout their education process. So they learn from work setting, they learn from academic setting, and by the time they graduate, they don't look for a job. They already have one. And I say that there are 4 purposes for higher education. And the first one is that it needs to be able to allow for the individual to perpetuate and really discover oneself and maximize the potential. The second is that the society is educated and makes better choices and evolves. And the third is workforce, right, where you are preparing somebody for a job. But I think it is a fourth one that we are also focusing on now, because the first 3 we have been doing it for a long time. And the fourth one is entrepreneurship, that we prepare students to believe that they can create something out of the garage and be able to start up and be able to disrupt. And that disruption can then take us to a better future. Why? Because the institutions of the past are there to perpetuate some of the patterns of the past. But we need that disruption. And so it is a fourth element that we are also now focusing on.
These are wonderful, high-level aspirations. The ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. The ability to disrupt through entrepreneurial thinking and innovation. How does an educational institution train for that, enable that? And what is it that we have been doing that we need to change to enable that better? If you want to pick up from here, Mahesh, and then we'll go back to Robert.
Yeah, I think the first thing is that we as educational institutions need to realize that the society is changing faster than the models that we have come to represent. And we need to be able to adapt and change according to where the society is evolving and the conditions that are changing. So in our case, for instance, we were the first to start an online design degree 20 years ago, before online education was fashionable, before they thought it was even possible to do these online. So we need to be entrepreneurial ourselves, and we need to be able to try various things. One of my mentors used to say that humans have the right to exist, but institutions and organizations have to earn their right to exist through their relevance to the society. So that's what we try to do, is to continually think about what is the relevance, how do we position ourselves, how do we change and evolve the curricula and models, not for just workforce development, but for entrepreneurship and new ways of thinking and moving into the future.
Academic institutions are not highlighted as being bastions for change. How do you encourage this entrepreneurial thinking within your organization?
It's a very simple adage: adapt or die. And I think we as institutions of higher learning must adapt or die. Programs that are relevant, that provide place-based education with hands-on experience, that provide a return on investment, that's what we perpetuate. The ones that don't, we sunset them and move on. At Western New England University, we're proud of the fact that 98% of our students upon graduation have a job or have been accepted into graduate or professional school. That the starting salaries of our students are higher than 51 of the top 100 universities in the country. Why? Because we have adapted a mindset that when our students are at Western New England University, we're giving them those essential human skills that cannot be replicated by a robot, an algorithm, or AI, but most importantly, that they have the mindset to be in the value creation business. They understand their why and their purpose is not just to get a job for the sake of getting a job, it's getting a job to make a difference. And I think if we look at our ecosystem within higher education, those institutions that adapt and evolve their curriculums so that their students upon graduation are prepared not only for the jobs today, but the jobs that they will create in the future will survive. Those that don't will go out of business, both public and private, and that's okay. I mean, it's very Darwinistic if you think about it, but we have to evolve, we have to thrive, and if we don't adapt, we die. Western New England, and I know many other institutions, will adapt. Others will die.
So what are you teaching today to encourage this resilience and realignment with the world of today and the future of tomorrow?
So we're teaching things like, and it starts with our career services in their freshman year, things like an entrepreneurial mindset. An entrepreneurial mindset, if you think about an entrepreneur, that's an individual who identifies a problem, comes up with a solution, and figures out a way to commoditize it. Value creation. So we want every student to understand their why and how they create value, whether they're a pharmacist or in the health sciences, whether they're an engineer, whether they're in our business school or at our law school. So an entrepreneurial mindset, understanding who they are in terms of their emotional intelligence, trying to make sure that students not only understand what emotional intelligence is, but making sure they know how to apply that not only in the classroom, but in the workforce. Because when they come to you, you want them to be ready. Thirdly, communication. Communication, 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 and then more communication. In this day and age of social media, people using their iPhones and other technologies with remote work, we believe very much in place-based education. And I think online learning is really, really great for the adult learner, but I think for the traditional age student, that where they're developing between the ages of 17 and 22, that face-based and place-based education is important, because that's when we give them the social and emotional skills that are necessary to thrive in the workplace. And it's okay if they come and work for you in a hybrid model or totally remote or face-to-face. Our graduates will be ready for that. So hands-on and place-based education is really important.
Mahesh, how would you inculcate these mindsets and capacities about entrepreneurial thinking, resilience, anticipatory contribution?
Yeah, I think we have to start early. As a higher ed institution, we should not assume that our work begins when the students walk into the college and ends when they leave the college. What we do, and that is a new model, is to think about design literacy, for instance, where we work with K through 12 systems to start very early and then bring more people and more diverse people into higher education. And then as a graduate, we are thinking of, for instance, starting an incubator and joining hands with the local entrepreneurial ecosystem to diversify the entrepreneurial landscape. And I think that is, we need to partner, that is one. And the second is, I will say that higher education has been focused on place-based education for, rightly so, as Robert has said. But where we need to go is mixed reality, where we have started something called mixed reality master planning, where an institution is larger than its campus or a place. And the institution exists in the cloud as well. Our students, for instance, are in 54 countries, and we have access to 85% of the world, because that's our mission, to expand access. So design literacy in terms of K through 12, expanding access to more diverse people, and opening up and filling these gaps in the niches of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. to put more diverse people and entrepreneurs in the world.
Thank you. Both of you have alluded to the power of collaborations and the criticality of developing collaborations beyond the university, whether it be back in earlier education or with corporations. Could we elaborate a little more on that mission, how easy it is, what it takes to make it successful, and what types of collaborations are critical for higher ed to have its impact?
I think the kinds of collaborations that are critical are higher ed, K through 12, corporate America, and the government. We have to create an ecosystem that interacts and collaborates one with the other to create a pipeline of K through 20 education, from kindergarten all the way through a PhD or professional or graduate school. And each institution, I think that's really what's great about Boston and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. When you take the 59 colleges and universities, they're spread all over the Commonwealth, pulling people from the greater Boston area and every place else, building up communities with those public school systems, with those charter schools, with those private schools, partnering with all of your companies in various ways to figure out what your workforce needs are, and adapting and evolving their curriculums to meet the needs of the jobs of today and of the future. And that's a bifurcated kind of thought process, because you have a job today that you need to fill, but you also want to make sure you're hiring young people who have the skill set and mindset to create the next generation of jobs within your company. So I think it has to be intentional. I think convenings, bringing people together from the various sectors on our campuses to have a discussion of what the real needs are. At Western New England University, we're standing up an advanced manufacturing program that will be a training center for welding for kids who will come out of high school, but also you can get a BS degree in welding eventually. And what can you do with a BS degree in welding? Oh, about $300,000 a year, I'm just saying. But for the student coming out of high school who gets that type of training, they won't earn quite as much, but it'll still be a six-figure salary. So it has to be an ecosystem, because, by the way, college is not for everyone. And there are plenty of jobs out there where people can make a decent living. By the way, as a university president, you don't want me to do your plumbing, okay? I'm just saying. Yeah, I could probably fix your car coming from Detroit, but not your plumbing.
How about yourself, Mahesh?
Well, I'll share a story, I think, that emblematizes all of this. So we have just graduated a student who's a 55-year-old single mother living in El Paso, Texas. And she realized that she needed a professional degree in order to advance in her career, could not do so because she could not leave her home, uproot herself, move to some other place, let alone Boston, the most expensive market. And so she took our online program, online graduate program, and she graduated, attended the commencement with her daughter. And that was a proud moment. And you recognize that there are so many more people. In fact, there are more people in that particular category. And so expanding access, diversifying higher education, thinking of these unconventional models are very important.
All right, I'm going to close with a question that's a challenge, actually. I know we're supposed to always end on a high note. But we also at Questrom School of Business have launched an online degree in our MBA. And it's priced at about $25,000 all in, and that compares significantly to our residential costs. To make that program successful from a business perspective, because academics, we have to fund initiatives, we have to grow, we have to adapt or die, this takes money. We have to fund scholarships for students to broaden our diversity. That required that we build that program to scale. Which we have done. We have 2,200 odd people in this program and innumerable stories such as you share, Mahesh. But this is not something that is easily done. So just from a business propositions perspective, how do we lower the cost of higher ed, enable access at scale, diversify, build, all to you to save.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, Susan, I think that's congratulations on the program, by the way. And I think that's the way to go. Is scaling is one of the biggest problems of higher ed. You know, I was just in India a few months ago, where they are scaling to meet 1.4 billion people to educate. And we cannot anymore think of this as a local problem or a regional problem, but it is a global issue. And scaling cannot be done just by being on a campus physically. Scaling has to be done together with mixed forms of realities. And we have to adapt technology, data analytics, AI, and beyond in order to be able to accomplish that. So I think I'm excited by the possibilities ahead in the kinds of things we can do collaboratively, partner across the world, across the region, and that there is a great talent ecosystem created that is mobile and is available and accessible.
Thank you very much. Last word?
Yeah, and I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think that, you know, cloud technology, we're partnering with Microsoft with the XR and the virtual reality world from an educational model, opens up a whole new world in terms of providing education to young people and adults, by the way, no matter where they are. And when I talk about place-based education, it is not just in the physical place of the campus, but it's also in the virtual world. And I think that that's where we are uniquely qualified as an ecosystem within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, being the epicenter of higher education on the planet. The good news is we are that epicenter. If we can't figure it out, no one else will. Our conglomeration of institutions that are located right here to support each and every employer that is within our region is phenomenal. So I'm optimistic, and the possibilities are unlimited.
Thank you so much. Love it. Appreciate it. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you all.